The Banana Splits Movie 2, Road Split. Chapter 5. Susie's mother walked over to her. "Susie, I need to catch up with your dad and talk to him. I'll be back soon." "Okay, Mom." The woman left, leaving the children alone with the animatronics. "Why does everyone keep leaving?" Susie fumed. "It's my birthday." Stevie tried to comfort her. "Maybe they went to look for Snorky." "Wait." The boy paused, thinking. "Why don't we go look for Snorky? Like a quest?" Susie perked up. "Yeah, like a quest. But Mom said not to go anywhere. They all left themselves. So why can't we? Besides, we've got a whole search team." The boy pointed at the animatronics. "We could try." Susie finally agreed. The girl walked over to the animatronics. "Guys, let's try to find Snorky." "What about the concert?" asked Harmony. "We can find Snorky first, then have the concert. We can split into teams. We are the Banana Splits, after all. That way we'll find him faster." "Fine, but then you two stay with me. I'll make sure you're safe," Harmony warned. Susie and Stevie nodded in agreement. The cat animatronic turned to the other splits. "So, guys, we're going to look for Snorky now. I'll be on the team with Susie and Stevie, and each of you can search on your own. Fleagle, you can look for him in the magic shop. Bingo, you take the jungle. Drooper, you take Snorky's circus. We'll search the other rooms. Does everyone understand?" "What if we don't find him?" asked Drooper. "Then we meet back here. We'll figure out our next plan of action." The animatronics nodded in agreement and dispersed. Harmony turned to the kids. "The search for Snorky is officially open." The trio headed toward the service areas through a corridor leading to different parts of the building. Suddenly, the animatronic interrupted the children's conversation. "Susie, I just remembered that your father created a module that allows me to locate the other animatronics. It's in the workshop. We can go there and install it on me. That way we can find Snorky right away." They headed to the workshop. Everywhere there were blueprints, schematics, circuit boards, components, and piles of assorted junk. Susie knew this habit of her father's well. He forgot to tidy up when he was driven by his ideas and thoughts. Sometimes she felt like he paid more attention to his robots than to her. But she knew he still loved her very much. The animatronic searched for the module while the kids looked at the blueprints. "I found it." Harmony held a chip with 3 wires attached. Stevie and Susie walked over to her. "I need your help. There's an opening panel on my back. Behind it are terminals where you need to connect the chip's wires. Can you do that?" "Let me try," Stevie volunteered. Even though Susie was the engineer's daughter, Stevie still knew more about electronics and such things than she did. He quickly found the panel and opened it. "Connect the red wire to the power supply." Stevie followed the instruction. "Connect the blue wire to ground. Connect the yellow one to the signal." "Done," Stevie exclaimed. "Perfect. Now I can locate Snorky." The kids stood still, waiting. Right now, Snorky is in the old musical instrument room. "What room is that?" Susie asked. "It's near the gates. There's a small door there. We don't use that room because it's in poor condition. They're supposed to renovate it soon." "What could Snorky be doing there?" Susie wondered. "Let's go there." "No time to waste," Stevie commanded. A couple of minutes later, the group reached their destination. Harmony opened the door, and they entered the room. It was dusty and dark inside. Suddenly, everything around them was illuminated by a silver light. It came from the animatronic's eyes. Susie's father had added a function to adjust the brightness of the LEDs in her eyes. The reason for Snorky's disappearance was now clear. He lay on the floor, buried under bricks and chunks of concrete from the ceiling. Not far from him lay a new, upgraded rock guitar. Apparently, Snorky had wanted to get it for Susie's birthday, but the ceiling had collapsed on him. Realizing someone had entered the room, Snorky let out his characteristic beeps instead of speech. Susie quickly ran to help him. Snorky, hang on, I'm coming. The girl shouted. Susie, stop, that could be dangerous. Harmony warned. Susie didn't listen. The moment she reached Snorky, something cracked beneath her feet. The floor began to give way. Susie managed to grab onto a section of the floor to keep from falling. Harmony ran to help her, while Stevie stood frozen, watching in horror. Help! Susie screamed. Just as Harmony reached her, cracks spread like a web across the remaining part of the floor. Any hope of rescue faded instantly. They both fell through. The last thing Susie saw in her life was the debris from the floor falling toward her and the massive body of the animatronic. Stevie stood frozen in terror, unable to move. Shock locked his entire body. Harley opened his eyes. His head hurt badly. He tried to remember what had happened. The highway. The car. The crash. They'd been in an accident. They were driving home after the massacre at Taft's studio. Paige was with them. Mom had offered her a ride. The crash. The woods. The memories were hazy. With every second, he remembered more and more. He remembered waking up next to the car after the accident. He tried to pull everyone out. Oh God. Were they all dead? Mom, Austin, Paige, Zoe. Was he the only one left alive? There was something else. A silhouette. He saw a silhouette among the trees. Red eyes. The silhouette was approaching. The silhouette took him. Where was he now? Harley looked around. He was lying on someone's hoodie, carefully laid out on the floor of a room lit only by moonlight coming through a single window. It was dirty everywhere, shards of glass, plaster, and all kinds of debris scattered around. The walls were gray and cracked. There was no furniture. In the corner stood a huge metal door. Besides Harley, there were 4 other children in the room, 2 boys and 2 girls. One boy was the youngest of them. He just sat there staring at the wall. Another boy was quietly crying while one of the girls tried to comfort him. The second girl was the oldest. She was taller than everyone and stood by the window, looking thoughtful, rubbing her arms to keep warm. She was wearing only a thin t-shirt with a picture of some city and the words "Best Life" written on it, plus a pair of lounge pants. The other children were dressed more warmly. The little boy wore a jacket, while the other 2 had on warm sweaters. Noticing that Harley had come to, the oldest girl walked over to him. Hey, you okay? The other children also started coming over to him, surrounding him from all sides. My head hurts really badly. Who are you? Where am I? What happened? My name is Clara. This is Andrew. She pointed to the little boy. And this is Liam and Jessica. They're brother and sister. What's your name? My name is Harley. We've all been kidnapped and locked in here. Looks like we're in some abandoned building. By the way, aren't you cold? I laid my hoodie under you, but I don't think it helps much. It's a little chilly, but I'll manage. Thank you. You're welcome. Who kidnapped us? What happened to you? Harley asked. Clara started first. I'm 15. I came to visit my grandparents at their house in the woods. I was sleeping in my room on the 2nd floor when suddenly someone broke the window and got inside. Don't think I'm crazy, but I think the creature looked like a gorilla. It grabbed me with its one arm and dragged me into the woods. I screamed for help, but nobody could save me. I saw the light turn on in my room. Maybe my grandparents rushed to the noise, but unfortunately, they were too late. I passed out after that. The girl looked at Jessica, as if passing the turn to tell her story. I'm 13, and Liam is 12. We went to the lake with our parents for a nighttime picnic. We were sitting on the grass watching the stars. Suddenly, a terrifying robot dog with a glowing red eye came out of the trees and the girl couldn't hold back her tears anymore. This time, her brother started comforting her. It killed our mom and dad and took us into the woods, Liam said. From his tone and expression, it was clear he was barely holding back from crying again himself. Harley looked at the little boy and addressed him. Hey, what about you? How did you end up here? The boy hesitated, then began his story. My name is Andrew. I'm 7. My dad and I were driving to town after fishing, but his car broke down. He got out to fix it, but then a big scary cat attacked him. It was a weird cat. It was taller than a person. It started choking my dad. I ran out of the car to help him, but someone hit me hard from behind and dragged me into the woods. I couldn't save my dad. Harley thought. A gorilla. A robot dog. A big scary cat. Could these be the Splits? How did they survive? What do they want? He spoke to the boy again. Hey, Andrew, are you sure it was a cat? Could it have been a lion? I don't know. The boy replied. Can you describe what it looked like? It was tall, with a long tail and a huge mouth. Did it have a firefighter's helmet? Yeah, I think so. There was also something sticking out of its head. Harley was sure now, it was definitely Drooper. And sticking out of its head was the wand that Austin had given him for his birthday, the one that had helped his mother defeat Drooper. Suddenly, Liam interrupted his thoughts. Hey, how do you know about the firefighter's helmet? The dog that kidnapped us was wearing a firefighter's helmet too. The boy looked at Harley suspiciously. I think I know who kidnapped us and where they came from. The children gathered around Harley and listened intently to his story. Yesterday was my birthday. My mom, my older brother, my girlfriend, and my stepdad went to the Banana Splits show. It's a children's TV show with 4 animatronic characters, Fleagle the Beagle, Bingo the Gorilla, Drooper the Lion, and Snorky the Elephant. They were robots dressed in costumes. Their creator reprogrammed them, and they started killing all the adults, kidnapping the kids and forcing them to watch the murders. My mom and my brother managed to defeat 2 of them, and Snorky helped defeat a 3rd. He's not like them, he's good. He saved us. It looks like they've come back and started their old ways again. I don't understand how they survived and found us. We got into a car accident. One of them took me, but I'm sure it wasn't Snorky. He wouldn't do that. Clara joined the conversation. Why did they lock us in here? What do they want from us? I don't know. We need to get out of here. Harley replied. We already tried. The door is locked and jumping out the window isn't an option, it's too high. Liam retorted. Harley walked over to the window. The stars and the moon shone brightly. They were in some abandoned building in the middle of the forest. About 30 feet of height separated them from the ground. Jumping really was dangerous, especially since there was concrete foundation everywhere below. Harley began examining the room. His attention was drawn to a ventilation shaft in the upper corner. It was wide enough for Harley to fit through, but it was covered by a grate. Suddenly, the sound of a key turning in the lock echoed through the room. The metal door opened. Fleagle stood in the doorway. His entire costume was dirty and tattered. On his left arm, the fabric had been torn off, exposing a long mechanical endoskeleton arm. The same was true for the left side of his face. The plush had ripped and was hanging down, revealing a metal muzzle underneath with a bright glowing red eye. On his head sat the red and yellow firefighter's helmet, and next to it stuck the crowbar that Austin had driven into him back at Taft's studio. His hind legs were stained with dried blood. A bow tie hung on his chest, its once bright red color now faded, and beneath it were 2 black buttons. The animatronic was holding a boy about 10 years old in his arms. Jessica screamed and hugged her brother. Clara backed away toward the wall in fear. Andrew covered his head with his hands. That's the robot dog that killed our parents and kidnapped us, Liam whispered to Harley in terror. The animatronic spoke in a high-pitched, slightly broken voice. I brought friends. He sat the boy down by the door, leaning him against the wall. Harley noticed the boy was unconscious. Fleagle left the room, locking the door behind him. Clara quickly ran over to the boy to check if he was alive and to revive him. Meanwhile, Harley was examining the ventilation shaft grate while the others were occupied with the new arrival. He noticed that the screws holding the grate in place had straight slots. Hey, Liam. Can you help me? The boy turned to Harley and looked at him questioningly. What's up? Harley pointed to his discovery. Look, there's a vent there. I can try to find a piece of glass and use it to unscrew the screws. I'll climb onto your shoulders and get inside. I think I'll fit. I'll try to find a way out. If I make it, I'll come back for you and get you out. That could be dangerous. Liam warned. There's no other choice. Don't worry about me, I'll manage. So, will you help me? Okay. Harley looked around. He quickly found a suitable shard and picked it up. Liam walked over to the vent and bent down so Harley could climb onto his shoulders. Once Harley was up, Liam grabbed him by the legs and slowly straightened up to his full height. Now the ventilation shaft was level with Harley's head. The other children seemed to have just noticed the boys' activity. They stopped paying attention to the new arrival and gathered around them. What are you doing? Asked Jessica. Harley's going to take off the grate and climb inside, then try to get us out of here. Liam explained. Meanwhile, Harley had dealt with the screws and tossed the grate aside. It hit the floor with a loud clang. Don't you think that was a bit noisy? Clara remarked. No one answered. Harley managed to climb into the ventilation shaft, freeing Liam's shoulders. Good luck. Jessica called out after him. Thanks. It was very dusty inside the ventilation shaft. Harley sneezed and continued moving. Ahead, a right turn appeared. Although Harley didn't suffer from claustrophobia, the fear of getting stuck here grew with every second. He reached the turn. It was difficult to maneuver due to the tight space, but he managed. Beyond the turn, a very long straight passage awaited him. In the distance, a faint light was barely visible. Harley realized it was an exit into another room. Without wasting a second, he crawled forward. A couple of minutes later, Harley had reached the grate leading to an illuminated room. Voices drifted through, 2 voices. Flegel was talking to some woman. I brought another friend. Great job, Flegel, such a good dog. Now we have the right number of vessels. I'll go prepare everything for the ritual. You check on them again and bring them here. Remember, the show must go on. The woman chuckled. Harley was confused. Vessels. What did she mean? And what ritual? What was going on? Then it hit him. A chill ran down his spine. Did she mean them, the children? Vessels for a ritual. Maybe she was part of some cult. Wait. If she meant them, then Flegel was going to check on the others. Damn. He had to get back immediately, or the animatronic would notice he was missing. He crawled back as fast as he could. His pant leg caught on a bolt. That's all I need, Harley thought. He quickly freed it and kept crawling. Every second counted. He moved so fast that the ventilation shaft shook and made loud noises. He slowed down a bit to avoid drawing attention with the noise. A couple of minutes later, he reached the tricky turn. After getting past it, he thought he heard Flegel's voice. Damn. Was he too late? Finally, he reached the room and dropped down. The other children were staring at him in horror. Clara walked over to him. Harley, that scary robot dog came back and noticed you were missing. It went to look for you. Suddenly, someone put a hand on Bill's shoulder. Startled, he spun around and aimed his gun forward. Easy there, partner. It's me, Dan. Seeing him, Bill lowered his weapon and let out a nervous breath. You scared the hell out of me. Sorry, I didn't mean to. It's okay. Did you find anything? A lot. Too much to go into now. Better tell me what you've got. I found Michael, Matthew, and Jason. They're dead. What do you mean, dead? Dan asked in horror. Bill stopped. He remembered the ghostly man in the theatrical costume and looked over to where he had stood just a few seconds ago. There was no one there now. They what? Dan repeated. They're over there. Bill pointed to the pile of corpses. Jason is in one of the rooms not far from here. God damn it. Dan said, seeing the bodies. What happened to them? I don't know. From the room where Jason's body lay, there was a bloody trail. I followed it, and it led me here. Speaking of Jason, he had 4 cuts on his chest, just like the old man in the workshop. Only they were smaller. We can go back so you can take a look, or keep following the trail. What do you think? Let's follow the trail for now. On the way back, I'll check out Jason. Okay. The officers climbed over the pile of corpses and moved forward. After several turns, they reached a staircase leading upward. Above it hung a sign that read exit. Climbing to the top, they found a fully open door leading outside. The tracks led right through it. Looks like the killer got away, Bill said. Seems that way. They stepped outside. The tracks led across the road and into the forest ahead. Suddenly, Don's radio crackled to life. Dan, do you copy? How's reception? Loud and clear. What's your status? We found another pile of bodies. Michael, Matthew and Jason are dead too. We also discovered a bloody trail leading outside into the woods. As far as I remember, there's an abandoned pulp mill out there. The killer might have fled there. There was a brief silence on the other end as the dispatcher thought it over. Copy that. We've got a couple of calls here. A girl reported that she and several others were in a car accident. When she came to, she realized one of the boys traveling with them was missing. There was another call too, an elderly couple. They said someone kidnapped their granddaughter. They found her window smashed in. Their house is right in those woods. These disappearances might be connected to the murders. We are critically short on officers, everyone's out on calls. Can you respond to these? They're not far from your location. Okay. Dan replied. The dispatcher gave them the necessary information.